Providence advanced to the Final Four. There are 2 more spots to be filled. We will fill the first one here in Cincinnati. Then we'll take you to Seattle, where UNLV, the Runnin' Rebels, matched against another Big Ten team, the Iowa Hawkeyes. So the Hoosiers of Indiana coming on the floor behind us. They will have the home crowd advantage. Bobby Knight has restructured this basketball team this year, Billy Packer.
He really did. He needed some athletes, and he got them in Smart and Garrett. But any team that plays against this IU ball club tries to figure out how to stop Steve Alford. And when that is done, Bob Knight has somebody else to go to. Right now, the guy that's hot is Ricky Calloway, a local product who's really doing the job for him down the stretch.
Now, they are matched against an LSU team led by 3 seniors. The main man inside has been Nikita Wilson. He did not play on the team that advanced to the Final Four a year ago, but he has been devastating inside so far in this tournament, Billy.
He really has a quick turnaround jumper. He loves to play from that position in the low post. People list him as 190 pounds, but he plays a lot stronger than that. An excellent athlete, great leaping ability, and has good maturity.
There are 3 seniors who will start. The 2 Wilsons, no relation, Nikita and Anthony, and Oliver Brown. All 3 are from the state of Louisiana. Coach Dale Brown talked about what those 3 mean to his team.
But we need from them their spiritual motivation that they give us. We need for them to go out and give all they've got. If they score the points, fine. That's not lagniappe necessarily. But the most important thing we need from those 3 seniors, we need their examples. We need their never-give-up attitude. We need their philosophy, the best potential of me is we, their unselfishness, and everything else will fall in place.
Can Dale Brown and the Tigers do it again? Can they beat seeds 1, 2, and 3 to get to the Final Four? We'll find out.
CBS Sports presents the NCAA Basketball Championship. Today's regional final game from Cincinnati is sponsored by Mass Mutual. We insure more than lives. We insure success. The 1987 German-engineered Volkswagens and your
Ohio River here in Cincinnati. We will determine the 3rd team for next Saturday's Final Four. We're in the Riverfront Coliseum. Great basketball interest in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. We have the largest of the press contingents at the 4 regionals here. More than 280 press credentials, and when you throw in the photographers and the TV, we have 300 media folks in attendance for this confrontation this afternoon. Now let's go to Tom Talmadge and meet the starting lineups.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Riverfront Coliseum for today's Midwest Regional Final game between the Louisiana State Tigers and the Indiana University Hoosiers. And now let's meet the starting lineups. For LSU at forward, a 6'6" junior from Hempstead, New York, wearing number 30, Bernard Woodside. For Indiana at forward, a 6'7" senior from Westchester, Illinois, wearing number 24, Darryl Thomas. For LSU at forward, a 6'6" senior from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, wearing number Brown. For Indiana at forward, a 6'6" sophomore from Cincinnati, Ohio, wearing number 20, Rick Calloway. For LSU at center, a 6'8" senior from Leesville, Louisiana, wearing number 41, Nikita Wilson. For Indiana at center, a 6'10" junior from San Clemente, California, wearing number 22, Dean Garrett. For LSU at guard, a 6'4" senior from Plain Dealing, Louisiana, wearing number 11, Anthony Wilson. For Indiana at guard, a 6'1" junior from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, wearing number 23, Keith Smart. For LSU at guard, a 6'1" junior from Dallas, Texas, wearing number 12, Darryl Joe. And for Indiana at guard, a 6'2" senior from Newcastle, Indiana, wearing number 12, Steve Alford. And introducing the head coaches for LSU in his 15th season, Dale Brown. For Indiana, in his 16th season, Bob Knight.
Yesterday, it was the Big East day as 2 qualified for the Final Four. This afternoon, it could be the Big Ten. We'll be back to find out in a moment. Afternoon, the referee is Jim Burr. He'll toss the ball up. He's out of Albany, New York. Working with him, Tom Flame from Sandbridge, Virginia, and Paul Hausman from Roanoke, Virginia. Now, Bob Knight went to work on the officials when he took on Auburn in Indianapolis, Billy. Will LSU be as physical inside? Will he have to be concerned about Dale Brown? How will Knight handle the officials here?
Well, there was a crazy article early on today in which Darryl Joe said that LSU really knows how to hand check. You can believe Bobby Knight talked to the officials about hand checking before we ever got started. And we'll see if they
violation on the jump, and it'll go to Indiana. Now, hand checking is illegal in the college game.
There is an example.
Joe reaching right in on Keith Smart to start the game. The first trip past Bob Knight, he will say something to the referees. Now, Wilson has a hand on a man, too. Knight's going to go to work early on. And the first foul goes in his favor. Brown picks up personal number 1.
Good move defensively, pass on the inside, a reach out. Thomas had excellent position. Then when you talk about working the official now, you don't work them until you need them. So Bob Knight will stay calm on that bench until it's not going his way and he really needs him. If his team has the lead, he'll let it ride for a while.
Knight also says that LSU is the best defensive team, man for man, he's looked at on film. And Calloway having a monstrous tournament. The young man from Cincinnati showing more aggression. You've got to wonder if that knee isn't getting stronger and stronger. He injured it early in the season.
I like Bob Knight's comment. He said the best way to motivate a player is let him sit on the pine a while, and that's what happened to Calloway after the Illinois game. Since then, he has really played well. Straight man-to-man as expected by Indiana.
This is not an explosive LSU offense.
And they're not guarding Woodside.
Joe misses a 3, and they hammer underneath right away. Oliver Brown going for the free throw. And the foul goes against Calloway, and it brings Knight up immediately.
That's a minor. That's a minor. Joe needs to hit from the outside because, in my estimation, LSU's going to have to get scoring from somebody other than the Wilsons today to win this game.
They're doubling down on Nikita.
Right.
Now, this time they let him go. He couldn't get any help, but he didn't need any. Dean Garrett, superb defense. Here comes Smart. He's a great athlete.
Well, Keith Smart's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He's played against some of these guys before in the summer.
6'1" junior, came to Indiana, Kansas Junior College.
You watch, Calloway is not going to guard Woodside.
They miss another 3. Anthony Wilson tossed that one up from the right side. Indiana breaks to a 4-0 lead. They have possession. Alford always lets the game come to him, won't force it. Calloway missed the open jumper.
Interesting, Woodside's guarding Alford. Now, that's a great move by Dale Brown. You put a bigger man on him. Steve Alford doesn't have the blazing speed to go by somebody. Hard to get that jumper over a man 6'6". It's quick.
LSU looking for some semblance of offensive firepower against Indiana. Nikita Wilson, that's his shot. Quick turnaround, doesn't need much to get it off. Fine athlete.
And there's Thomas on the switch. He's not going to be able to do the job that Garrett can do on a guy like Nikita Wilson.
What about the early defense being used by Brown, Billy?
Well, the key to do is to watch the 2 big men posting up down inside defensively. They're playing, looks like a little 2-man zone. The other 3 fellas playing man-to-man right now.
Alford passed a shot. Calloway did too. Alford maneuvering on Woodside and goes against Woodside. That is his first personal foul.
Alford will take that challenge, but he doesn't usually shoot any bad shots. He's got a lot of pump fakes, a lot of hesitation, a little bit stronger than he looks. He makes very good shot selection decision. If you're going to play for Bob Knight, you have to do that or you'll be sitting.
There's Steve Alford's mother and father, Sam, the high school coach, Sharon Alford. Yes, that is spelled correctly. A-N.
And you talk about the tutor who taught Steve how to shoot, and still to this day, when he gets out of sync, that's the man he turns to, kind of like Arnold Palmer and his dad when it came down to the golf stroke.
Joe cut off by Alford as he came in. He traveled, bounced back on the outside and turned it over.
Nice piece of defense by Steve Alford because he's up against a quicker athlete.
Low scoring start, 6-2 Indiana, 17-12 to go here in the first half. Dean Garrett, 6'10", gets up over Wilson with the jump shot.
Now we noticed when we had LSU against Temple, they could afford to play behind the postmen there because Temple's postmen weren't very active that night, but I don't think they can stand behind Garrett all night long.
Anthony Wilson slides the baseline. LSU cleans up underneath. Chance for the three-pointer.
Brent, I've done a lot of ball games on a championship level, but I've never seen two teams that have reached this level when you start talking about rebounding stats. On the year, LSU is being out-rebounded by their opponents, and Indiana is almost even. Normally, if you're a good club, you've got a nice rebound advantage, particularly on the offensive glass.
Here is Bernard Woodside out of Long Island. Played in Rockville Center, St. Agnes High. His teammate, Billy Donovan, who was qualified for the Final Four. He quarterbacked that Providence team, Rick Pitino's yesterday. Woodside can't complete the three-point play. He has pulled LSU to within 4. It's 8-4. Indiana with an early lead. Woodside, a fine defensive player, taking Alford. Whatever zone they're using, they won't zone Alford, at least not to start the game. Smart gives it up, turn it over. Here's the breakaway for Anthony Wilson.
Brent, the defense they're playing right now has two big guys, Wilson and Brown, playing down in a two-man zone. They just go back in the paint area, pick up their men. The other three guys are playing man-to-man.
Drop it into Darryl Thomas, who moves the baseline. Won't fall, but Garrett is there. And as he comes up, he's outscoring.
Little pushing by Joe on the inside. Great power move by Garrett. Gets it inside. When the double team took place and Wilson had to go over to help out on Thomas, it let the rebounding position wide open for Dean Garrett. You know, you talk about all the heavy recruiting in college sports right now. Dean Garrett committed to Indiana and never even visited the school. He had a 2-hour talk with Bobby Knight, said that's enough for me, I'm headed that way. Never saw the college before he arrived.
Played for San Francisco City College. He was the MVP out there in that JC program. That school was 56-8 over 2 years while he was there. And he draws the first personal from Nikita Wilson. Wilson gives away several inches in height. This is going to be a tough matchup. You can look for Knight's offense to pound it inside. That's Ollie Brown. Indiana leading by 4.
Woodside's not shooting from out there, so Calloway's just going to go ahead and shade him a little bit, but not go out on him, which makes the interior pretty tough to operate in.
Against a triple team, it's turned over, and Alford's in the middle. Gives it to Smart on a bounce pass. A beauty. Looking the other way.
Smart has that explosive ability to go the hoop.
Joe's 3 rattles out, and a rebound, Calloway. That long rebound, which you frequently get off a missed three-point shot in the college game. Alford bounces it in. Thomas couldn't get the handle. Now he muscles his way up for his first field goal of the game.
He's got about 40 pounds on Wilson, and he used every ounce of it in that play.
Each Hoosier starter has a field goal except Steve Alford. And before it's over, he'll be the high point man. Bet on it.
And he won't force it, though.
Woodside outside.
Well, that will go ahead and make Calloway want to go out there, but I can tell you, in their scouting report, they don't want him going out and playing Woodside till he makes a bunch.
3 Tigers have field goals. Brown and Joe do not. And a defensive rebound, and Wilson muscles his way out of there. It's 14-8. 14:29 to go, first half.
You know, LSU's a little nasty on the boards. When they get that rebound, they let you know it's their ball.
The three-point misses again, but offensive rebound, only Brown.
Beauty.
Short. Draws the foul. Pretty play by Brown.
Here you go. Joe's not hitting from the outside. He destroyed Georgia Tech with 3-point plays, made 7 of 9. Good inside play by Brown. Another one of Dale Brown's great athletes.
Brown at the line, and more importantly, Billy, the second personal early on Garrett. Woodside pulls it down and gives LSU a fresh set. Boy, these Tigers do not go quietly. They come out of nowhere out of the Southeastern Conference. They knock off top seeds, and here they are trying to get it done against Indiana. Nikita Wilson rising up. He hits the field goal. Now they've closed to within 2. Bess Irvin, number 4, is their first sub. He checks in. He is a point man, and Joe sits down.
Nikita Wilson is a big Alex English. He has a great turnaround jumper, so quick.
Garrett in low.
Not his shot.
And only one shot for Indiana. No offensive rebound. And here's Irvin running the team, as we pointed out. He'll be the point man. Joe was cold from the outside with the threes.
Oh, Wilson's getting good position inside.
And so is Irvin. He missed that one. Garrett with a defensive rebound. It's a 2-point Hoosier lead here. 13-23 first half. Thomas goes to the glass.
Well, you can see, Brendan, we said it at the top. Dale Brown will have to get scoring from a third scorer somewhere. Joe didn't get it done. Let's see if Irving can get it done, because Indiana is not going to play the guy until he can show that he can make it.
And Smart doing a good job early on against Anthony Wilson. In the middle, coming right straight down is Brown. Scored, and they draw another foul on the inside. It's Thomas's first.
Well, one of the things about any ball club that Bob Knight plays against, he wants to go to the foul line a lot more than they do. But so far, you see, particularly in the interior, and there's just a touch foul by Thomas. He's supposed to have his body over in front of the man, doesn't get there.
Indiana with 4 team fouls, and LSU with 3.
Give you an example against Duke. Indiana went to the foul line 31 times, Duke just 13. That's not without design.
Smart brings it down for Coach Knight. LSU has missed its first 3 free throws here.
Now they're playing a little triangle and 2. Wilson is playing, the 2 Wilsons are playing with Brown. 2 men playing man-to-man are Woodside and Fess Irvin.
Smart knocked down on the penetration. Ball in Thomas's hands, gets his man in the air and goes to the glass for the layup. 3 field goals in the first half for Darryl Thomas.
A lot of work into getting those type of pivot moves. What you have to like about LSU, every guy knows his role.
Anthony Wilson hits the 3. Now that is their first 3 in 6 attempts here in the first half, and it closes LSU to within 1 as he signals for the free.
Well, he may signal for the free, but what it is right now is a triangle and 2. 2 men are playing man-to-man. Alford and Smart are being handled man-to-man.
Pass is off to Calloway.
Charge. Oh, he called 3 seconds instead of a charge. Dale Brown's working him.
Violation. No basket. Now it'll be Knight's turn, and he's up and furious. We'll be right back. He continues. You saw him coming out as we started commercial. He was assessed a technical foul for coming out on the floor by referee Tom Frame. He went over to the table. Dick Schreider there along with Gene Corrigan speaking to the 2, and he hits the telephone over on the scorer's table. In danger of getting a second technical, he is finally screened off. Anthony Wilson misses the free throw for LSU. Now Knight walking back toward the committee. He had a 3-second violation called. He's now with the alternate over there, Eddie Hightower, as Wilson hits this free throw. All he wanted to do, he said, was find out if it was a 3-second violation. But he walked out on the floor, touched the referee, he turned around, immediately the technical was called. As a result of that throw, we're tied at 18.
I don't fault Bob Knight for asking the question, but the way he asked the question, I don't fault the referee for hitting him for a technical. They've got to keep this game under control. They can't let a referee take it over. I mean, a coach take it over.
Wilson misses the 3. Indiana rebounds in the hands of Garrett. We have 11:19 to go here in the first half.
Great pass inside.
Thomas waiting, then he pulls the trigger. That's 8 points, 4 field goals by Darryl Thomas first half.
Sometimes those technicals inspire a ball club, Brent.
Ollie Brown screens, and they finally get it to Woodside, who's wide open and hits the three. Credit that screen. There was defensive rotation. It left a man open, and Woodside burned the D. 7 points here in the first half.
He was shooting 35% from the three-point line.
This time Thomas passes low to Garrett. A nice pass inside. Now that's 14 points between Thomas and Garrett. Indiana with a size advantage, and they're starting to utilize it.
What's happening, Brent, they're 2-on-2 down there low in this particular defense and not getting any help because the other guys are playing man-to-man outside. They're just overpowering them inside.
Irvin's three on the money, and LSU starts to light up the board. They run 3 in a row. In deep. Garrett muscles free. Missing. But Smart gets it back for the Hoosiers. Alford quiet so far, not forcing. Content to go with the big men, and Thomas missed everything. And there was contact underneath. No foul is called. It'll be out of bounds when we come back. Television timeout.
There's no...
Not bashful. They have shot 9 times from three-point range and made 3. Indiana has yet to shoot a single three-pointer. Steve Alford with 2 points so far in the first half, both on free throws. LSU leading Indiana and Bob Knight by 2. 9:56 to go in the first half. Neither team close to being in foul trouble. 14 fouls on Knight and 3 on Brown and LSU.
This may surprise people, Brent, but LSU not stranger to that three-pointer. They've taken 436 of them this year. Indiana only 235, and all but 51 of those were from Steve Alford.
Jose Vargas, 43, handles the ball for the first time, shows that jump hook.
He has been a man coming off that bench.
Out of the Dominican Republic. A strong force inside. LSU's biggest lead. Can you believe these Tigers?
And there's the triangle and 2. 3 men in that zone. 2 men chasing man-to-man.
Steal.
Could be a
Woodside
confrontation.
coming in on Calloway. Hits the layup. 9 points.
They are tough defensively, and Bob Knight knew it coming in.
He said, we've got our hands full with this team defensively. He said, I've watched the films, and no team plays team defense any better than LSU.
Best percentage defense in the tough SEC all year long.
And they're on an 11-4 run over the last 3 minutes, and defense has keyed this streak.
Well, you wonder how could they ever have been at the bottom at one point in time in the SEC.
And the foul goes against Anthony Wilson, his first. Now, with the size matchup that Dale Brown is using against Steve Alford, you begin to wonder what Knight will do to counter this to get Alford open. We're all so familiar. You've seen him so many times on television. They use screens. Steve is not a great athlete. He's not real quick, doesn't jump real well. He needs screens to get free for the jump shot. They're keeping a taller man on him. They're chasing him all over the floor with Woodside, who's one of the better defensive players in the land. Up over the top of him, a 3 for Alford. His first field goal of the game.
Woodside tapped his chest and looked over to Dale Brown. He said, I've got him. He didn't have him that time. He shot it without the dribble, without the fake.
One of the greatest shooters I've ever seen. Knocked away from Vargas. Steve's got it again for Indiana in the middle. Smart's on his left.
Good job by Woodside to make him pull up.
Calloway open. 2 field goals for Rick Calloway in front of his mother and father and relatives here this afternoon in Cincinnati.
Referee just warning Smart on that one to leave the ball alone after it goes through the net. Second time, technical. Vargas wants that ball to score. He's not looking to pass if he gets it inside. Every time he catches, it's like excitement. You never know what he's going to do with it.
Woodside. Yeah, defensive specialist. He's got 11 points here in the first half.
Dude, he's hit 3 jump shots. Didn't even look to take them. I said they're going to need a third scorer, but I never would have bet it'd come from Woodside.
Alford on the move, and now he's getting into it. 7 points. Waits for the game to come to him. So patient.
Oliver Brown's up off that bench.
Steal by Calloway. He'll come back on Irvin. Give it to Stave and
Nice.
return pass.
Touchdown.
Hoosiers lead it by 31-30, and that brought the crowd up. Nikita Wilson. Indiana's ball.
Good block out.
Smart's
Look at
ahead of
Smart.
Alford. He's going to try to get it at him. He couldn't, so he nails a three.
You think that kid doesn't have some courage? And look at Mom and Dad up there. Almost like the Indiana High School Championship right here. These people getting the fever.
Is Woodside still touching his chest?
How about that movie Hoosiers? Huh? They could have used this as one of the scenes.
I know one producer is pulling for Indiana to get to the Final Four.
Garrett doing a nice job on Wilson. Made him alter that last shot.
See how they double down quickly? They drop Thomas in when they can. Now Anthony Wilson took the three. 1-point lead.
Brent, I don't think the three-point play belongs in college basketball.
I know excitement, right, Kelly?
It doesn't add anything to the
fun
game.
with it at all. Alford is fouled.
Woodside complaining that he's getting hit on the picks on the inside. Dale Brown trying to support him. Now, if you're going to talk to a referee, this is the right way to talk to one.
Let's see. Let's watch this pick now. This is what they do for
illegal.
Alford.
That's an illegal screen. Garrett went out, used two hands, wasn't in a normal screening position, should have been a foul. Woodside's been right on everything he's done all day, including refereeing the game.
He'll take a break with 10 points. Alford makes it 11. Oliver Brown, number 31, is returned against Knights Hoosiers.
Brent, we talked about him being a great free throw shooter, which he is, but in high school he was 286 out of 303. 94% as a high school player.
Irvin, and Alford came flying at him, and he still hit it.
Wasn't Alford's fault. He was trying to close in on the inside, help out a little bit on the penetration.
A great Alford burst at LSU is only a point behind. Thomas coming up, he was fouled. Anthony Wilson protesting that, but it's his second personal foul. That is 6 against LSU. We have 4 team fouls against Indiana. When you get to 7 in the college game per half, then you shoot the 1-on-1. 2, of course, in shooting situations, and Thomas was shooting.
Brent, at this pace, fatigue is going to mean a little something. Even though we only have 5 minutes to go in this half, these guys are starting to wear down. You can see them all grabbing the pants now. The telltale sign in basketball. Garrett's holding them. Nikita Wilson. They're all starting to feel a little bit. And I'd have to say, if you're Bob Knight, you're thinking about Steve Isle coming into this ball game, maybe to give somebody a rest because he's such a flexible player.
5:20, first half. Vargas coming out to set one. The three on its way, and Garrett rebound.
That was an NBA three-pointer.
They are 4 of 11. Indiana 2 of 2. Threes. Calloway misfiring. LSU's ball. Vargas got a hand on a bad pass on the turnover. Indiana. Well, we are near the 5-minute mark, so we'll take a television timeout, and we'll be right back. 5 Indiana over LSU. 4:54 to go in the first half. Indiana blazing away from the field. 65%, and they have hit their last 5, and now Dale Brown is up at the table, and Bobby's going over with it.
What the reason for this isn't a good move by Dale Brown. Bobby's been working that sideline where the NCAA committee members are ever since that episode. Now, Dale's had about enough of that, and a very good move on his part to go down there and say, hey, I'm tired of him going down and working the officials. Dale's a competitor, too. And he's going to make sure Bobby sits. Now, Dale's coming back. If you're going to coach against Bob Knight, you can't back down an inch.
Sonny Smith of Auburn had to go nose to nose against him down at Indianapolis. So we are live from Riverfront Coliseum in Cincinnati, Ohio. Along with Billy Packer, I'm Brent Musburger. Indiana blazing, LSU with 4 threes, Woodside with 11, and Alford with 12. And a very tight game. Dean Garrett, the Indiana center, 8 points here in the first half. And Indiana reopens a 5-point lead.
Pretty tough to go ahead and play Garrett up front because he does have those long arms. It's almost better because he doesn't have a lot of offensive moves to play behind him. Make him make the offensive play. Smart's a good athlete, too. He can step out there on somebody.
He's been all over Anthony Wilson. Vargas in low, shifted to Nikita Wilson. Plays facing up the basket. Alex English, is that who you said he reminds you of? He's a great shooter, those two.
Yep. That time Garrett tried to help out inside, and he has to be thinking a little bit. Can't let Nikita Wilson alone.
Alford.
You know what he's doing, Brent? He realized that those quick athletes can handle him when he puts the ball on the floor, so he's shooting right off the touch of the catch. He catches those guys off guard.
Irvin open, the 3. That's their 5th 3.
Looks like the Rich Pitino attack. Get the ball inside as he did with Providence, and if there's nothing there, get it back out. Yesterday, Georgetown cut off the 3-point play, so the big guys had room to operate.
Great success story for Rick Pitino in Providence. Has it knocked away, and a foul on Vargas. That's his first. LSU over the limit. Calloway shooting in that situation.
It was interesting before when we were talking about the great team that LSU has athletically, and we got in there and Quinn Buckner, and I said, that Jose Vargas, and I looked at Quinn, and Quinn said, is a man. He had it handled.
Bernard Woodside, 30, returns. And Calloway hits the free throw. He was at Withrow High School. He was the Ohio AAA Player of the Year when he was a senior.
Indiana hasn't had a sub yet, have they, Brent?
They have gone with their starting 5.
And LSU has only changed 2 players. Joe, because he wasn't hitting, and I think that you've got Woodside changing because he's getting a little tired.
Peter Wilson on that quick turnaround. That's why you have to double him when he gets the ball before he can make that move to the baseline. This is how tough it is getting out there. Oliver Brown would have checked as he comes right down on the inside, something that Steve Alford has faced throughout his career. Woodside back in the game to track him. He did an excellent job early in the game, and then Alford started to light him up. Getting inside, and the foul is called. Foul is against LSU.
Got him after the shot. Alford runs those baseline screens, and it is so tough down there to chase him.
Now he got Woodside, who was cold, off the bench, went to work on him, and drew the 3rd foul on Woodside. Oliver Brown reports back in for LSU, and Woodside will sit down, and that hurts LSU defensively.
Goes inside, doesn't have anything going for him, gets blocked. Maybe the momentum of the block knocked him to the floor. But in any case, when you put him on the line, you're almost looking at 2.
Indiana 9 of 11 from the free throw line. LSU only 1 of 5. There has been a difference at the line here in the first half.
Boy, Steve Alford has really improved himself defensively. A guy like Irvin would normally go by him when he was a freshman.
Brown puts it on the floor. Drew the foul from Calloway when he came inside to the lane. And here is Indiana's first sub. Steve Isle, the 6'6" junior.
What's so nice about having a Steve Isle on your ball club, and as I said, he's so flexible. He could come in for almost any position on the floor. He's coming in for Garrett now, so he's going to play inside, but he's come in where he's moved back to the guard position.
Indiana was not yet over the limit, and that's why they are not shooting the 1-and-1 after Calloway's second foul. Indiana still has a foul to give here in the first half. They get it in low. Vargas is short. Thomas's rebound. Indiana 45, LSU 42. 2 minutes left, first half.
I never expected this high scoring a game.
The shot is blocked by Vargas, and Calloway can't use the glass, and Vargas rebounds. Alford picked up Anthony Wilson. Didn't let him come down the baseline. Nikita Wilson inside.
Isle can forget about guarding Nikita Wilson. Now, Nikita had problems with Garrett having a hand in his face, but he'll just spin on Isle. Seeing some real athletes out here. Guys like Smart and beating people with quickness.
Thomas cut off trying to come through the lane, and foul is called on Alford's penetration. Brown's second personal, not happy with it. Bree Smith, number 42, becomes Indiana's second sub.
These fouls could start picking up, particularly when you put an Alford on that line. He's 6 for 6 with 16 points. Plus, he's building up. You know that LSU's not that deep with players. They're in good physical shape, but you can't do anything for guys on the bench with foul trouble.
Darryl Joe, their starting point guard, returns, and Oliver Brown sits down. Alford in the first half, 18 points. Remember when we were saying he's only got 2 points, just 2 free throws, doing a good job.
He doesn't force the game. He lets it come right to him. It's amazing. He's now the second highest scorer in Big Ten history. Past Rick Mount last week.
Going at it inside in that lane area. Anthony Wilson gets open.
Boy, critical move right there. The most important man on the floor is the guy with the ball. Indiana left him, particularly a great shooter.
Indiana having trouble shaking LSU. Smart's three not there. Vargas and Thomas went up out of bounds. Indiana's ball. Dale Brown can't believe it.
Official made a mistake, changed the call.
Now it'll go over.
You're just trying to get it right.
Nikita Wilson now says to one of the officials, watch Isle inside. He's holding me. So when they come down, watch and see what 32. And I'll tell you.
You know what was the officials should have been looking at that, because that's his responsibility. He was watching the ball.
Now with time running down, Dale Brown spreads out the floor here. He has an opportunity to take a lead. Trails by 1 point. The shot clock not quite synced up. 20 on the shot. So a couple seconds difference is all.
I bet the best matchup out here is Smith trying to handle Joe. Joe ought to take him man-to-man. That's what they're doing. Good move by LSU.
Joe forces one. Off balance, came up with it.
Took the shot way too early.
Time, too. Smart over to Alford. Alford's three is short. Bree Smith fires one at the buzzer. Indiana and LSU in a close one. At the end of the first half, Indiana 47, LSU 46. Jim Nance and James Brown are standing by in our New York studios right after these messages and a word from your local station.
Leading it by a point over LSU at halftime. Welcome back to our New York studios. Jim Nance along with James Brown. In that first half, James, Indiana scoring inside at will.
Well, Indiana knew they had a size advantage on the inside, and they've been capitalizing on that. However, Steve Alford has done an outstanding job. Although he has 18 points, he was personally responsible for more than that with the assist as well.
What about LSU in the first half? They're getting some scoring from some guys they don't expect.
Living on the outside, they're nailing their perimeter shots. Bernard Woodside, an unexpected scorer. I think Jose Vargas is going to have to become more of a rugged presence on the inside and intimidate a little bit if LSU is to hang in there.
How about that moment in the first half when Bobby Knight exploded and was called for the technical? Almost got a second one here. Hey, we all get mad at the phone company every now and then, but that almost got him a second tee there.
And I think Bob Knight is smart enough to know not to push it too far.
All right, and Dale Brown got a few words in as well, but it's a 1-point lead for Indiana.
Alford holding off the LSU guards alone. Now, when we left you at the half, Coach Bob Knight of Indiana, who picked up a technical, went over to Gene Corrigan, the athletic director at Notre Dame, who is on the NCAA basketball committee, explained his position. Corrigan and Dick Schreider pulled out the NCAA rule book, and they pointed to the fact that a coach cannot go on the floor to talk to a referee unless there's an injured player and the official tells him to. Corrigan and Schreider both told me that as the officials were coming down the floor, they said tonight, send your co-captain out, send your co-captain out. He refused. He came on the floor. He was assessed the technical foul. Later in the half, Dale Brown came down to protest that all the calls after that had gone in Knight's direction. Then at the half, Knight came out, had a couple more words for the official who called the technical, and so Dale Brown quickly sent Nikita Wilson right out to the referee. So the story within the story unfolding, and meanwhile, let's not overlook this point. We've got a heck of a basketball game unfolding here, Mr. Packer.
One of the best. In 1979, I saw a great regional final here between Indiana State and Arkansas. Moncrief and Bird, one of the great matches of all time, and this game's measured right up with that one.
Woodside with 3 personals over in the corner starts the second half for Dale Brown. Oliver Brown, Nikita Wilson with that great turnaround jump shot.
And Garrett got him on his back that time. Nikita just is so quick coming up off the floor.
Garrett playing with 2 personals, Calloway with 2.
We change the defense now. It's a box and 1 on offer. 4 guys playing a zone, 1 playing man-to-man.
And Garrett coming back traveled as he came off with the offensive rebound. He was going to muscle back in the slam as LSU takes the lead in the opening seconds of the second half.
Now in that box and 1, and I think what the LSU kids are talking to the official about, all Alford does is keep running off those screens, and if you're playing him, boy, you really get banged. Try to get a little backdoor play there with Wilson and Wilson.
Anthony Wilson.
This club believes.
He hits a 2-pointer.
Dale Brown was asking that official over there to make sure it's not 3.
It was close. I know I held on it.
Box and 1. Watch Woodside chasing off.
Ball on the ground. Diving towards Thomas. Here's Smart. Knocked away beautifully by Wilson. And it goes out of bounds. That was Oliver Brown. Excuse me. I said it was Nikita Wilson. That was number 31, Oliver Brown, who came out with quickness. And there is the switch signal defensively to go to the freak, which is a combination man and zone. Sometimes it will change depending on where the ball is. The man you would expect to continue to man is Steve Alford out on top. Very hard to play a straight zone defense of any kind against him. And Woodside follows him in the man. Down the baseline comes Smart. Knocked away. LSU with quick hands in the passing line.
Oh, they've been getting that ball. That's 3 smacks from the back. Downtown, too far out for Steve Alford.
And the open man, Anthony Wilson, bad pass out of bounds. They had a layup, and the pass was out in front of him, and it went out of bounds.
You know what was nice move there? Dale Brown is smiling, giving him encouragement, and his team's smiling. They get their head down about that. Nice piece of coaching by Dale Brown.
LSU builds a 3-point lead in the early moments of the second half against the top seed in the Midwest. Smart missing. LSU gave Indiana only 1 shot.
Both coaches didn't think this game would be played in the 70s.
The 3, not there. Off Smart and Thomas, and out of bounds.
Well, Woodside really went up on the boards that time for 6-5.
Indiana starts cold this half.
Yep.
Joe's 3. Here they come again. Are they unbelievable or what?
And they stay in the box and 1. Calloway's a man can get open on this offense right here.
Thomas gets inside and gets the roll.
Used it all.
Nikita Wilson. Offensive rebound by Woodside, and he misses, and Calloway comes down for the loser.
That's a good job. Good job by Garrett.
Calloway off a fake.
And he's the guy that's got to come to the front right now. was with the box and one offer, not able to get those screens down inside that he got with the triangle and two in the first half.
Here he comes again with that great turnaround, but he's missed his last two, and as Calloway came out, foul is called against Indiana.
I thought that was a pretty good block out by Calloway on that play. Good faking by Woodside.
Someone who agrees with you.
You watch this play right here. Now, Garrett's giving Nikita Wilson some trouble on the shot. Touch foul, the way these guys have been banging inside.
And that's number 3 on Calloway.
Two key players now with 3 apiece. Woodside for defensive purposes and Calloway for offensive.
Woodside inside. Underhand stays with it. And here comes Brown.
Indiana not showing the good foot quickness right now. And Bobby Knight hot. He's hot at Darryl Thomas for not getting his feet over there and in position.
As a result, he will soon substitute Steve Isle. Indiana down by 4.
Good defense.
Forces the turnover. Outlet to Joe. Calloway cannot afford the foul, and Nikita Wilson follows. And LSU can feel it on the bench.
I think Bobby Knight's waiting for a TV timeout, but he's got to get his club back in it mentally right now. It's a big basket here for Indiana. Garrett wanting the lob.
Reaching in by Joe. He fouled Smart as Steve Isle, the 6'6" junior out of Hamilton, Ohio, checks in.
Good pass by Joe because Calloway could have come in there, and there's our man. Huh? You know, he tried to get a personal invite from Gorbachev to go to Russia to talk to Sabonis. He said he spent $6,000 chasing the Soviet star.
Hey, listen, if he wins this, I'd turn our entire peace negotiating over to him. He's a miracle worker. Unbelievable. He got help.
You know what scared him off this summer? The terrorists. He was going to go look for Noah's Ark.
No terrorist going to stop him. Bobby Knight can't stop him. It's unbelievable. 57-51. Smart inside. LSU giving Indiana only 1 shot now per trip down here.
That's a good point, Brent. They haven't been able to get on the boards. Matter of fact, they're making them shoot even that first one as a tough shot. Nikita in good position.
Passes up the shot. He missed his last 2 on that turnaround. Now he goes to work.
Great block.
Gets it back.
Oh, Calloway's down. His knee is hurt.
And it is badly hurt, apparently. Woodside cleans it up. And we've got an injury timeout on the floor.
Now, Brent, let me point out what a referee's responsibility there. If the player has a chance to get hurt even further, a referee has the right to stop the game even though the other team has possession of the ball. But since Calloway was away from the action, the official didn't stop the clock. And here comes his mom. Now, Calloway, of course, has had a knee injury this year.
His mother looking on, very concerned. It was injured initially in a practice session, and you can certainly understand the concern. We'll take a timeout, and we'll be right back.
Change are blowing at today's Chevrolet. Corsica, the smoothest Chevrolet sedan ever built.
The heartbeat of America.
Corsica.
That's today's Chevrolet.
You're not just another face along the way to another place.
I'm hoping for a wide body. I probably won't get one.
This flight? You sure will.
You're the pride of United's friendly skies.
I reserved 11G in advance. You probably don't have it.
Got it right here.
So before you go, my friend, we want you to know, my friend, you're not just flying, you're flying the friendly skies.
I like lime in my tomato juice. I probably can't get it. Oh.
When you fly United, you can set your sights a little higher.
Magazine?
You probably don't have anything I'd like to read.
Well, here's an article called Positive Thinking Always Wins.
I know. I wrote it.
You're not just flying, you're flying the friendly skies.
You probably won't believe this. I had a very nice flight.
You're flying the friendly skies.
From the fast-breaking attacks to the ball control finesse, CBS Sports presents the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship next Sunday.
Rick Calloway highlighted. Watch the right knee. He has contact here with Oliver Brown, and it'll collapse. This is the injured knee, and is what has forced Calloway out of the game right there. Down he goes in pain. The play is completed on the inside with a Woodside field goal, and as Billy Packer pointed out, he is out of the play, and they will take him back to the Indiana locker room, but a good sign to see him up and walking. His mother, Eleanor, has returned to her seat here in the Riverfront Coliseum, looking on with about 7 members of the Calloway family this afternoon.
That brings Daryl Thomas back into the game. Isle stays.
Deflected. LSU getting a hand on every pass internally here in the second half.
Brent, with these quick athletes, you can't afford to throw that kind of a look pass. Look at the rebounds, particularly in the fact that Indiana's getting one and done every time they shoot the ball.
Brown missed one, and the Hoosiers with a chance. They trail it. It's LSU 59, Indiana 51.
Alford just can't free himself from Woodside.
There he
goes.
did there. Great screen outside and couldn't get the shot to fall, and 1 and out again. Indiana 2 of 7 from three-point range. They've missed their last 5. They hit their first 2 here this afternoon.
But I think we're all going to have to redefine the word upset.
Peter Wilson.
At this stage in the NCAA tournament, I don't see any bad teams playing. You know, I mean, this club right here is an excellent basketball team at this point in the season.
LSU, a 10-point lead over Indiana, second half, regional final. They steal the ball again. Here comes the defensive.
Great play by Isle.
Isle gets it back.
Boy,
Indiana
this could be a 4-point
returns.
turnaround.
Alford cut off by Brown, stayed with the shot. Daryl Thomas at the glass. He tries to muscle it up, and finally the foul is called on Joe. Joe goes right out to the referee and said, all I did was take the ball away from him.
Let me tell you something about this young man that I'm watching right now. He has to be incredibly strong. And Dale Brown came up with a new stat on him. Arm span discrepancy.
What?
He said he has the biggest arm span discrepancy of any player he had. That means that his arms are that of a 6'8 man, only that he's 6'2.
Now Bob Knight's going to call a timeout. Down by 10, 12:57 to go. Knight wants to talk about it.
When you want the rich, smooth taste of real draft beer, ask for Miller Genuine Draft, the Miller with the green label.
Green?
Just kidding, guys. Ask for Miller Genuine Draft, the Miller with the black label.
That's not funny, pal.
Telecommunications simply means making a connection. Me to you, A to B. When that meant creating a communications network 22,000 miles above the Earth, they called Contel. When it meant a 16-phone system at the Omaha headquarters of Vic's Corn Popper, they called Contel. Small business, a tall order. Contel can help you communicate better, too. For Contel, I'm Charlton Heston.
Once, there were a few proud men of adventure, men of courage, men who knew the meaning of honor. There still are, the Marines. We're looking for a few good men.
When you want the rich, smooth, fresh taste of real draft beer in a bottle, ask for Miller Genuine Draft. The Miller with the black label. It's beer at its best.
Yesterday, Providence, Syracuse stage upsets. Now it's LSU's turn, and Rick Calloway returns the Indiana lineup. He came out of the locker room, and he ran around the arena behind the press row, testing the knee, and he said it felt fine. This is Calloway on her feet. Alford is fouled.
Joe reaching in again, trying to help Woodside out. No question on that foul.
This is good news for Dr. Tom Davis in Iowa. They're an underdog in the game to follow us. Iowa and UNLV from Seattle. Shark, get ready. This is some weekend we've got. Smart gets inside. Great athletic ability, but the field goal.
Oh, what hands!
And Brown comes out.
What hands! That reminded me of one of those animals that catch those flies with their tongue and just. Super hands. Oh, nobody had him.
Wilson.
How could that happen? Had to be a mismatch inside. Somebody lost it. That was Darrell Thomas, and Bob is hot.
12. LSU leads off Garrett out of bounds. Garrett was still a little upset at himself at the defensive end when he let Nikita open.
And Brent, you know who got frustrated on that one? Steve Alford. If you can see him right now, he's trying to tell those guys to concentrate. That was a great pass by Alford. Should have been handled.
The last team standing in the Southeastern Conference leads the co-champion of the Big Ten.
Screen.
Joe. Dropped by Garrett. Now, Indiana trying to stop a 10-0 run right now.
And that's going to be on Woodside. That's his sport. And what happened there, Alford is such a great competitor that he's just been taking him one-on-one and rubbing him right off those screens, and Woodside finally couldn't take any more. Look at him. He's trying to run through the screen, doesn't get there, and there he gets the foul.
That's foul number 4 on him.
Now look for Jose Vargas to come in, Oliver Brown probably to switch over on Alford, and Woodside to come out. That's what I'd expect to see.
Remember how well Indiana shot in the first half? Well, that field goal by Garrett ends the 10-0 run, and they are 3 of 11 this half against this LSU defense. That's the first point scored by Indiana in 5 minutes. It's a 10-point LSU lead. Vargas is up talking to the coach.
Joe would have been moving. He had an easy shot there.
Brown comes inside. Spins out. Indiana can ease to within 8 at the 11-minute mark.
Crowd doing a good job. Mostly partisan Indiana people trying to get their team going.
Woodside continues to hound Alford.
Garrett's got position and not hitting him with the ball down low.
Combination man-to-man zone.
Right, you got a box and one. They've used it the whole second half. They didn't show this the first half at all. See, that's a double team on Alford.
Smart.
That's 2. Nice run by Indiana.
Rejection.
Garrett, a great shot blocker inside. Thomas doing a lot of pushing. There's going to be a foul in there.
There it is. Alford is first. The spurts that Indiana has shown versus Auburn and Duke, 2 previous games that Indiana put away as Jose Vargas checks in.
That's going to be Vargas in, Woodside out, kind of anticipated. And that'll put probably Oliver Brown being the guy that matches up with.
Watch it. Now, Alford figures to see what he can do with Woodside off of it.
Oliver Brown's no slouch. Again, it's the right kind of athlete to put on a shooter like Alford because you've got some size.
Vargas.
Rennie comes off that bench every time and hits that first one. You might as well double team him because he never passes it out the first time he catches it inside.
Oliver Brown, 6'6". Goes with Alford. Indiana muscles inside. Drawing the foul on Vargas, his second. Now, LSU has picked up 5 team fouls with 9:22 to go, and Indiana only 2.
One of the things I just saw there, to me, is not a good sign, Grant. As well as LSU played, I saw all the players look up at the score. You don't like guys to be thinking score and time at this stage in the ball game when they're on the floor. A long way to go up there. Joe just took another peek up at the scoreboard.
Remember, your days at Wake Forest, you'd never check the scoreboard to see.
Only at the end of the game. If you're really playing a ball game, you don't want to be looking at the score. Vargas looked up at the score. It's a sign that you say, can we hold on? Instead of let's get more.
In low. There it comes away for Indiana. Snap, not a good pass. LSU comes down with a break. Joe coming Smart with him. This is the layup. Thomas is there. Great move defensively by Smart. Now he pressures the ball at the other end. Comes into the glass. Tosses it in. Great play by Smart at both ends.
Got to be timeout, LSU.
Away from Vargas, and Nikita Wilson is there. Fouled on the play. Garrett's third. Now Fess Irvin checks in for LSU.
Fred, on that last fast break, only Key Smart. As a matter of fact, I don't know of many athletes in the country. Maybe we saw one the other day, Maxwell from Florida. About the only guys I know of could have chased Joe down, had the speed and the leaping ability to stop that last fast break.
Billy, discrepancy at the free throw line. Indiana with a 12-point advantage, make it 11. That is the second free throw for LSU in this game. Out of 6, Indiana has hit 13 of 15. Nikita Wilson's first free throws of the tournament. Hard to believe someone who plays as tough as he does inside. That's the first time all tournament long that Nikita Wilson has gotten to the line. 67-59 LSU over Indiana.
Oh, that's okay. It hit the referee. But the reason I don't think he gets fouled a lot is he's so quick you can't get to him before he gets a shot off.
Alford inside drew the foul from LSU. So he will come up to that free throw line. That's the second on Nikita Wilson.
Here comes Oliver Brown going through the trenches. Bang, that's an illegal screen. And he brings it right back. Vargas should have held his ground there. Had no chance to block it, and had that shot missed, he wouldn't have been in position to rebound.
Trying to score for the first time this half, and he does. All 18 of his points come in the first half. We're at the 8-minute mark at Riverfront Coliseum in Cincinnati. 67-61 LSU.
He had 8 of them from the foul line in the first half, so now he's got 10 points from the line.
Vargas and Thomas with contact, and the foul is on Thomas, his second. And next, we'll take you out to Seattle. The West Regional Final, Iowa, the Big Ten, UNLV, the PCAA, the Running Rebels, the top seed out there, and Iowa, the second seed. So far, this has not been a good tournament for number 1 seeds. 2 fell yesterday, a third in trouble here.
Well, that was Indiana's only their 4th foul in this half.
Irvin. It's a 2.
Here's a young man recruited by everybody in the country. Thought he'd be a solid blue chip freshman player. He had his problems when Maxwell and Moten from Florida destroyed him, lost some confidence, lost his job.
Vargas comes up and fouled him. Just see him applaud the official on the call. Jose Vargas out of the Dominican Republic. One of the things that Dale Brown liked about him is the fact that the young man's mother was forced to move to Puerto Rico to get a job. He stayed home and raised his younger sister. And Dale Brown says, I'll take anybody with character like that. And Jose Vargas, who was not a well-honed basketball player, has shown great improvement down at LSU.
You know, my buddy Al McGuire makes a statement. Why guys from that part of the country develop quickly is because they're soccer players and they have good foot movement. You believe
Your buddy
that
Al McGuire count up the number of baseball players that come out of the Dominican Republic. They don't kick the ball down here. They pick up the ground ball. Here's Anthony Wilson taking a 2. LSU wanted a 3, but he was over the line according to the referee. Now, 7:05, 71-62. LSU over Indiana. Garrett.
Now, what happened there? Nikita Wilson was trying to help on Alford, who was going out on the block. And when he did that, that left Garrett wide open inside. Indiana spotted it well. Calloway's looking like he's moving pretty good on that leg.
Vargas jumps it up short. Indiana comes away, and the Hoosiers starting to put together a little bit of a run.
Dale Brown's got to be thinking Woodside again here pretty soon. Get some more size out there.
On the turnover, LSU breaks away. A big moment for the Tigers.
And Bobby Knight's making a substitution that's very interesting. Hillman, who distributes the ball very well, coming in.
Garrett gets the roll. 17 points for Dean Garrett. At the 6-minute mark, LSU 73, Indiana 66.
Alford picking up his defense now at a little higher. Now Anthony Wilson giving Indiana some of their own medicine with all those screens inside, but that's not a good shot.
Missed the 3, and Garrett wound up with still another rebound. That's 12 rebounds for Dean Garrett here this afternoon. Alford works down the baseline. Garrett couldn't get the handle, couldn't hold on to the ball, and LSU breaks out again. Indiana not executing, unusual for them. Missed shot by Nikita Wilson.
What a play by Garrett defensively. And here comes Smart again on the run.
Can't get it to fall. Anthony Wilson back. It's 3-on-2. Irvin in the middle, pulls up the 2.
Everybody's getting tired, Brent. This is some run right here.
Crunch time, and LSU holding the lead.
Alford has to be careful. He doesn't try to do too much by himself here. Really takes some court discipline.
Calloway.
Why?
This is the jam.
Why? He had a layup.
Frustration starting to mount for Indiana as Calloway, instead of going for the layup against Vargas, tried to jam. Hit the rim too hard. It bounces away. Timeout.
She's from Western.
Of all the airline mergers, one really stands out because it's the people of Western joining the people of Delta. And when pros start working together, you know what you have? An all-star team. That's how the best get better.
This is going to be quite a team. You're right.
The best get better. Delta Airlines.
Chevrolet Beretta.
The heartbeat of America.
Beretta.
That's the Daily Chevrolet.
Some party, huh? And everybody's drinking caffeine-free Diet Coke. It's the happening drink. Hey, same incredible taste as regular Diet Coke, one wacky little calorie. And hold the caffeine, pal. So grab yourself a caffeine-free Diet Coke and relax.
The caffeine-free you drink just for the taste of it with 100% NutraSweet.
Love your scarf.
The possibility of a third straight upset looms in the NCAA regional final. Indiana with a couple of team fouls to give, both coaches with sufficient timeouts at the possession arrow in a jump ball situation or a held ball. Indiana's turn. Billy, I would point out that Steve Alford, he has really played a couple of games here. He was quiet early, and then he picked it up down the stretch in the first half. Then, in the second half, he has gone 0 for 3. Now, he's the main man of this team. And there's what he has in the second half, only 2 points. LSU's bench has provided 18 points today. The high-scoring men. I think the Hoosiers must get Alford some shots now.
Well, it's tough against that box and one, particularly with a bigger man on him. They might try to move him out up a little bit higher to get the shot off. He's been doing everything on the baseline. Long.
3 up there. Garrett's rebound, and here they come.
You know, LSU has forgotten about Nikita Wilson the last 4 or 5 times down the floor. They better start getting the ball in his hands.
It'll be Calloway inside and jammed in strong. 19 for Garrett.
He's doing it on both ends of the floor. Let's see if LSU starts thinking about getting Nikita the ball a little bit here.
Steal.
Pass. He thought Nikita was coming.
Joe Hillman, who checked in, went to the glass. Blocking foul, scored a field goal. And Joe Hillman, who is coming off the bench, the 6'2 junior from Glendale, California, gives the Hoosiers a huge lift against Dale Brown.
That was quite a substitution by Bobby Knight. He puts Hillman in to distribute the ball, gives Smart a little rest.
And that's the 5th foul on the key defensive player here today, Bernard Woodside. The man who hounded Steve Alford fouls out of the game at the 3:45 mark.
Smart is coming back in for Hillman. Bobby Knight wanted to give him a little rest. Really great when you have a kid come off the bench and can be thinking like Hillman was in that play.
I'll tell you something about Joe Hillman. What's interesting about him, he is Bobby Knight's first recruit west of the Mississippi. Now, he's a sophomore in eligibility, but he's a junior back at school. And he has just given Indiana a huge lift. Dale Brown will try to ice him down with a timeout.
When the temperature drops below 30, remember the spark plug that's tested to start below 0. Champion, we go to ridiculous extremes to test the reliability of our spark plugs.
When a family moves, State Farm is there.
I'm State Farm agent Bob Scatina. This family, the Nilsons, just moved into town. They said it took them a while to find a new doctor and a new dentist, but finding a new insurance agent was easy. They liked the way their State Farm agent back in Montana handled all their family insurance, so all they had to do was look for this sign. And you could find one almost anywhere.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Bear.
Would you like a mid-size, Mr. Bayer?
Huh?
Chevrolet Corsica? Collision damage waiver?
Mm-hmm.
Personal accident insurance?
Mm-hmm.
Trip to Ireland?
Ireland?
Now there's a program that rewards frequent renters with upgrades, convertibles for the summer, even trips to places like Ireland. National's Emerald Club.
I was only going to Toledo.
It can make frequent trips to Toledo a little more fun.
Billy Packer, Dale Brown leading Bobby Knight by 5. What happened the last time these two hooked up in the NCAA tournament?
Well, it was a ball game that I'll never forget. 1981, Bobby Knight eventually won the NCAA, but at halftime I really thought, now Dale had a great group of athletes at that time also, and one that he had was a guy named Ethan Martin, who really took it to Isaiah Thomas in the first half of that ball game, almost to the point that Bobby had to put Isaiah down. But all of a sudden in the second half, Indiana came back, took over, and then went on to win the NCAA championship.
Hillman, after the timeout, completes the three-point play, and Smart replaces him. And a rousing ovation for Joe Hillman.
A lot of time.
LSU up by 4. 3:40. One just to sit back and enjoy.
Peter Wilson's got to touch it, Brent. He's got Thomas on.
Vargas loses it on the dribble.
They're getting it to the wrong man. Double low screen for Steve Alford. They want him to get that jumper.
Thomas, he drives, draws the foul from LSU off the shot. He'll shoot the free throws. 3 personals on Nikita Wilson. Here is Darrell Thomas, who attended the same high school. You referred to that 1981 game. Isaiah Thomas was the floor leader of Indiana. Darrell Thomas, who is no relation, attended the same high school outside of Chicago as Isaiah did. St. Joseph's, Westchester.
I think I probably ought to point out for Isaiah's sake.
There is Darrell Thomas's mother and father.
But when Isaiah came off that bench the day later, that was the day President Reagan was shot, he was all world in that final game.
Allowing the sub to come into the game, Darryl Joe.
Dale Brown has now got a guard offense in the game. He puts down Jose Vargas. He's going to try to spread it out a little bit here. And Indiana is used to playing against this kind of offense, so it shouldn't bother the Hoosiers.
LSU timeout. That will leave Dale Brown with 2. 3 minutes to go. LSU ahead of Indiana by 2.
Okay, life insurance. Whose policies have made more money out of the top company? Northwestern Mutual Life. So who was number 1 in 85? Huh? Okay, 5 years ago. 10, 20, 50. Wow. If they've done that well in the past, who should I buy from in the future? Guess I didn't need a computer to figure that out. I'll give one of their agents a call.
The winds of change are blowing at today's Chevrolet. Put yourself in today's Chevrolet Corsica and feel the winds of change.
The heartbeat of America.
Corsica.
That's today's Chevrolet.
Today's weather brought to you by Michelin. Bright, sunny, and seasonably warm, partial clouds developing by midday. This afternoon, scattered showers with a chance of severe thunderstorms and local flooding. The barometer falling fast. Watch for the possibility of snow turning to freezing rain later this evening. So don't leave the house without your trusty raincoat, boots, and most of all, your Michelin all-weather tires. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
This is the Midwest Regional Final between Indiana and LSU. We're live from the Riverfront Coliseum, and LSU ahead of the Hoosiers by 2, 75-73, 301. You might keep in mind that Indiana still has 2 team fouls to give. They are also shooting the bonus. LSU outscored 9-2 in the last 3 minutes. Bernard Woodside, their key defensive player, has fouled out.
But big change in strategy now on the offense for LSU. They're going to try to spread Indiana out. They've got the 3 guards in the game, which makes them a little small. Nikita Wilson has not scored in the last 5 minutes. He hadn't even touched the ball.
Now you're up to date with all the key numbers as the guards keep it out very deep with that 2-point lead. Joe, Irvin, and now Anthony Wilson. Bringing the clock down. Brown did this against Temple. He had a larger lead at the time. Last weekend, back in the second round.
Good double team situation.
Forces the jump ball. Indiana's ball. The possession arrow pointing for Indiana as Keith Smart jumps in.
That's an awful quick one, but they got themselves on the exchange in a perfect double-team situation.
Billy, I don't want to second guess, but at the 3-minute mark almost for the 2-point lead, you got to still play basketball.
Yeah, but I think he was trying to spread them out a little bit, hoping Indiana would gamble, try to go for some steals, and then get it down into Nikita where he'd have more room to operate.
Ships it in loose. LSU comes up, and Irvin fouled by Thomas on the floor. Daryl Thomas's third personal. He did not handle the ball properly on the inside.
But Brent, that might have been a good foul because LSU had at least a 2-on-1 break going the other way, and they're not in the 1-on-1 yet.
Still with 1 to give.
And that's the reason also it's tough on LSU to be talking about using the clock, because Indiana can go for some steals here, and they won't penalize themselves.
Alford picks up Irvin. Dean Garrett taking Nikita Wilson down close to the basket.
When you bring your man over, you're bringing a double-team situation.
Open court. Shot clock coming down toward 20.
Smart was looking for the double again.
Boone gets in, picked up by Smart, and the foul called on Smart, his first.
And what Dale Brown also is getting here is he's finally going to get his team in the 1-and-1. They're not a good free throw shooting team as a ball club, however.
Now Oliver Brown has to be a target for Indiana. He's hit only 3 of 11 free throws in this tournament. He's number 31. He's shooting 27%. LSU, of course, would be wise to keep the ball out of his hands here. At the 1:40 mark, LSU up by 2.
What they also got, of course, was another 45 seconds. Well, Smart is too quick. I'd keep it away from Tess Irvin.
Joe loses it. Indiana with a chance to tie or go ahead with a 3. Time in regulation. Iowa and UNLV still to come this afternoon. It was hit by LSU. Indiana's ball.
Brent, I think they should use Alford as the decoy. They can go inside right now to either Garrett. Good move by Dale Brown. He wanted to get a big man in there because the inside was wide open that last time for Thomas or Garrett.
And Vargas returned.
They can get the ball inside. LSU is so conscious of where Steve Alford is that everybody's shading his way. What Dale Brown's going to do is substitute when he gets a chance to get Irvin back in the ball game. Vargas out on offense, but in defense. Here go those signals.
Got Alford down in low.
It's Thomas.
Coming up on Vargas. Wouldn't fall. Loose. LSU runs it down. Joe pulls it back out. Foul by Smart. And Darryl Joe comes up to shoot 101. 85% here in the tournament for Joe at the free throw line.
There's where Dale Brown's strategy worked. He got his team fouled. Indiana up to that point had only had 4 team fouls, so he couldn't afford to go down to the wire and allow Bobby Knight to have fouls to give at the end.
Now it's a 3-point LSU lead.
I talked about the recruitment of Garrett. The recruitment of Joe is about the same. He watched LSU's run in the NCAA tournament last year, gave Dale Brown a call and said, hey, I'd like to play at your school.
Garrett rebounding. Smart inside, missed the shot, runs it down, loses the ball. And a foul is called on LSU. The foul goes against LSU. Indiana shooting 1-and-1. Down by 3 here with 40 seconds.
Shot clock off the rest of the way.
2-point game again.
One of Bobby Knight's greatest ball clubs. Not the one that won in 76, but the one in 75. Lost by 2 to Kentucky in the regional final. Nice pressure shooting there.
Indiana will take a timeout. It's 76-75. Billy, I want to run down the options here. We've got 40 seconds to go in this game. LSU can run the shot clock out. Bobby Knight has the option of putting him at the free throw line immediately or letting some time come off. Now, tell everybody about the different options that he might have.
Well, Brent, in my opinion, you're just going to want to play tough defense, and I'll tell you why. A team that is up by 1 with the shot clock off is going to say, hey, we don't have to score any more points, so we're going to go into a complete delay here unless somebody has an absolute layup. Now, when you're doing that, it's very difficult to hold the ball for 40 seconds and not have a turnover situation. So if you're Indiana, play good aggressive defense, particularly for the first 20 seconds, and don't foul.
And next, here on CBS, the West Regional Final. UNLV, the Running Rebels, will take on the Iowa Hawkeyes in the Big Ten.
Brent, the other thing you have to be careful of if you're Dale Brown, you start talking about all the things you're going to do, except one thing goes unnoticed sometimes. Get the ball in bounds. That's where the big steals are made.
I wonder if some of my friends like Dick Vitale will say we should move the side of the Final Four if LSU gets in. Is that the home court advantage? Is that fair? Play down there?
You're the big home court guy. You ought to love it.
I mean,
the state of Louisiana will be waiting
Dale Brown tell me 61,000 screaming Cajuns.
No, they're not there yet. This 40 seconds will seem like 100 years to these guys. I think it's been a miraculous comeback by Indiana. Garrett led the way. Nikita Wilson, he shut Nikita Wilson off on the one end of the floor and scoring on the other. You know, in another sport, we had a big upset. Iowa, trying for that 10th all-time record in wrestling, got knocked off by, of all people, Iowa State down the road. So that big number 10 will not be placed there, but quite a record for Dan Gable's club. Must have been a super event. Now, here's what I'm talking about. They're not going to guard the man taking the ball in bounds. Might not be a bad time for Dale Brown to call another timeout. You want to make sure you get this one in.
Eddie Wilson gets it across.
Joe was almost in the backcourt.
Taking the ball away from Brown. And Calloway reaching in on Irvin fouled him. That's 4 fouls on Calloway. And Irvin will come up to the free throw line. They elect to put the freshman on the line with 26 seconds to go in a regional final. And LSU leading it by a point. And the rebound checks back in. Jose Vargas, and Joe will sit down.
Brent, here's one reason why I think the money should be redistributed. We're talking right now about a couple $100,000 foul shot. Is that scary?
You see Jack Nicklaus puff very much.
He choked.
He missed it.
Yes, sir.
Thomas has it. Indiana can win it in regulation. They trail it by a point.
Hold the string on that one.
Thomas got Vargas in the air and was short, but Calloway comes in the offensive rebound. Timeout, LSU. It ain't over till it's over.
In Alamance County, North Carolina, Honda lawnmowers are assembled from the wheels up. Beginning with the Honda overhead valve engine, each precision part is fitted and assembled to exacting tolerances. Then, the final critical step that determines whether a machine will meet the Honda standard. The Clara Johnson test. If Clara pulls and it starts, it's a Honda.
Ship it.
The Honda lawnmower. It's easy to start, or else.
Last Thursday night,
had the silver bullet.
Hey guys, somebody lost a little black book.
He'll be back. My Coors Light's out.
Pat Martin, 2 stars.
Pat Martin.
Terry Tarrant, 3 stars.
Tarrant, is that with 2 R's?
Barbara Barlow, 5 stars.
Excuse me. I lost my address book. Thanks.
Anybody got an eraser?
No slowing down with the silver bullet tonight.
Why would one company work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and spend billions of dollars building America's first and only 100% fiber optic long-distance network? Why? So that every fiber optic long-distance call you make will be so clear and quiet that you can actually hear a pin drop. U.S. Sprint, builders of the first and only 100% fiber optic network, clear across America.
A big moment for Indiana and Calloway.
Good pump fake, but Calloway comes up a little short, couldn't get it out of his hand. And there was Calloway getting the rebound.
Now, there was bad sealing inside by LSU. They allowed Calloway to work his way. You could see him come free on the baseline. Nobody backed him out of there.
Brent, that happens so often. The guy that scores the winning basket is a situation where he's not the man shooting. You know, it's that second shot. Going back to that game in '79, I'm thinking of right now, the play came right down to the wire. Moncrief was guarding Larry Bird in the low post, and of all things, they couldn't get it to Bird, and the game was won on actually a pass, and the guy just slapped to the basket.
So here we are, 6 seconds left. Knight in Indiana leading LSU 77-76. That's their first lead.
No, he's going to call another time. Bobby calls
Indiana's first lead since the half. They were up 47-46, so we'll stay right here while Knight talks it over again with the Hoosiers.
A good move by Bobby Knight, and you could tell that he had everything in mind to call that second timeout. He worked with his coaching staff, never talked to his players at all during that first timeout till the very end. He wanted to see what Dale Brown's going to set up. He puts Isle in the ball game now as a substitution for defense, and now he sets his strategy.
Well, if we're thinking Anthony Wilson with the 15 points, he's 6 of 15 from the field here this afternoon. Nikita Wilson, he has scored 20 points for LSU. And still ahead of us, Iowa against UNLV.
Brent, I think a nice play right now at this particular time is to go ahead and step a man out of bounds, pass the ball cross court so that you can get it in, get the ball in the hands of Anthony Wilson and let him take it up court as hard as he can go to the hoop. Tell your 2 rebounders that Anthony's going to get off something, be in position to rebound just as Calloway was there. You want, if anything, you want Anthony Wilson on that foul line. You want that senior on there at the end of the ball game and let him take it, because Indiana does not want to foul over these 6 seconds. 6 seconds is an easy amount of time to get the ball the length of the court.
Wheels continue to turn.
Go back in my head, think about a guy going the length of the court. I can think of Danny Ainge taking it the length of the court against Notre Dame in one of the great individual plays that I've seen in college basketball to win that game for BYU. Dale Brown rooting him on, still has that smile. Now Indiana does not pick him up in the back court, so they can get it back in a hurry.
He inserts Steve Isle, a little more size, into the Indiana lineup. Inside, Nikita Wilson at the buzzer. Indiana wins it. The Hoosiers go to the Final Four. was the final shot by LSU. Joe got the ball inside to Nikita Wilson. Off the front of the iron as the buzzer sounded. And Indiana advances. Bobby Knight with an opportunity to win a third national championship. Watching the game come to a happy ending after they struggled all second half, and his star Steve Alford almost takes him to the floor. Meanwhile, a man who played Cinderella a year ago and almost did it one more time came up a couple inches short. But he made a great run. And Indiana now will play the winner of the Iowa UNLV game next Saturday. So as Indiana continues its celebration, let's send you back to our studio. Jim Nance and James Brown. Jim?
Okay, Brent, so the Big Ten is going to the Final Four for the first time since 1981, when Indiana was there and won the national championship. The Chevy MVPs from this exciting game, Nikita Wilson for LSU and Dean Garrett for Indiana. So now 3/4 of the puzzle is complete. Providence, Syracuse, and Indiana heading to New Orleans. 4:38, final 4 minutes, 38 seconds. LSU did not score from the floor, and with about 3.5 minutes to go, Dale Brown tried to put this thing in the deep freeze when he spread the floor.
And Jimmy, I believe a lot of people are going to seize on the opportunity to criticize Dale Brown about that, because his team was playing aggressive basketball. They outquicked Indiana in a half-court offense, and who's to say that didn't really hurt his team?
All right, Indiana comes back from 12 down with 13 minutes to go to win it and head on to New Orleans. Now, of course, coming up next, we'll have the West Final for you, that matchup between Iowa of the Big Ten and UNLV. And we'll get back to some post-game interviews in just a moment.
There are over 6,000 Century 21 offices coast to coast, in big towns, small towns, hometowns just like yours. We're the #1 home selling system in America, and that's our advantage. But being the biggest doesn't make you the best. It's being the best that makes you the biggest.
I got a feeling for my hometown.
Century 21, the hometown advantage.
Indiana has done it. Indiana winning the Midwest 77-76. Let's go back out to Cincinnati and Brent Musburger.
A great moment for Indiana basketball and Bob Knight. The Hoosiers going to the Final Four. Coach, you waited a little bit there before you went to your 5-minute offense.
Well, you and the mastermind told me before the broadcast to hold the audience, that you wanted to keep the audience, so we thought we'd delay our offense for a while.
You know, you deserved that technical in the first half.
No, I really didn't. It was
yeah,
a very...
you did.
No, I didn't, because I went out to ask a question, and at a point like this, the guy's got to say, Coach, back up. And I got a little bit excited because I didn't know whether it was a 3-second violation or a foul. The guy made no indication. I thought it was extremely poor officiating.
Now tell me about the winning tip-in by Calloway coming down the baseline.
What we did was we've worked on that play a lot where we get Thomas the ball inside. He goes up and fakes and lays it on the right side of the rim against the double team. And then Calloway comes...
Hey, Steve.
That's our freak offense. That's our freak offense.
Your coach said there's no way we can win this game because I don't know if we can score 78 today. You only got 77. You still came away.
He doesn't make very many mistakes. Maybe that's the first one he's made.
You have put in with this ball club, and I know you personally, because I want to bring it up first. How many hours in your life have you spent to get to this moment?
A lot. I can't count how many hours, and this is what you play for. And
these 2 hours have been the most fun I've ever been into, and we're very optimistic, and it's great. It's a great feeling.
Talking about a newcomer, how about what
they've been great? They've been great.
Tell me about the defense on the Nikita Wilson, the last second shot.
Oh, gee, he's a tough player, and I had a feeling he'll take a shot. My main thing was just not to foul him, just try to stay away from him.
Congratulations to Indiana. They go to New Orleans in the Final Four. All right, send you back down to Jim.
So it's the year of the Hoosiers in Indiana. The Hoosiers heading on to New Orleans. And next up, we're going to try to settle things in Seattle, Iowa, and UNLV for the West Championship after this message from your local station.